This is a video clip from episode 9 of the Average Joe Lawn Care Show with Robert Palmer from the Turf Therapy YouTube channel. Before we go any further, I wanted to jump into my segment that I just started at the last show, called.
Oh yeah.
I just started it last show with John Perry. It's called Keyboard Warriors. This was something I thought was just something cool, something fun, but if for all those YouTubers in the chat and maybe the non-YouTubers, you know that there's people that just troll in the YouTube videos. They're either know-it-alls, they're just jerks, they're punks, they're whatever you want to be, or whatever they want to be. But Rob sent me 3 comments that we're gonna dive into. I don't have a lot of trolls, and I don't think Rob does either. Rob, you're too easy. You're too not easy. You're too nice to troll on, in my opinion. Like, I don't. Your videos, if somebody came in there, people would probably just be like, "Man, what are you doing? You just need to get out of here." But here's the first one. Here we go.
Yeah, to your point, I had to dig deep for these comments. I had a few in mind right off the bat that were just the ones that we landed on, that kind of when I read them the first time, they rubbed me the wrong way. And when I read them again, I realized that this person was still trying to be a little snarky in some type of form. But I always try to stay, I always just try to stay professional, or not starting anything with anyone. But before I answer, before I go over this, one thing, I'll give you a caveat. One thing that I do get a lot of usually is like the weird spams. I don't know what the deal is with the weird spams where it looks like online girls has a thing for me or something. I get a lot of those every once in a while. Right. And I couldn't screenshot and send this in because I usually like remove the account so quick, delete and remove and report them so fast. I didn't have any of the show. But that's my little caveat there. So without further
ado, you're good. My bad. So the first comment was, "Can't believe you were mixing on the trunk of your car. Guess that's better than the kitchen table. A great video showing the differences between different tips. Thank you. I just wish that when anyone makes informational videos, you would leave out the background music. I want to hear what you have to say. Imagine going to school and the teacher has the radio on at the same time they're teaching." I see it like, I've read all your responses too, because you're super polite, which I try to be too. There's times where sometimes I'm just like, I don't want to handle that, so I don't even respond sometimes or whatever. But you're extremely polite. But I can definitely see like the dude's like, he's teetering on the, I'm trying to be nice, but I'm getting some feedback. I like your comment or your content, but I like sometimes, like, if people would just say like, "Hey, could you turn the music down?" Absolutely, thanks for the feedback. I appreciate that, because some of my earlier videos when I didn't have a good mic, like, it was awful. And
it was. I mean, to your point, it was totally awful. I think the thing that stuck out to me the most in this comment, there was many levels to this comment, right? So it's like, "Can't believe you were mixing on the trunk of your car." So for me, if you know me, right, maybe 5-6 years ago, I was a materialistic person. In this time, at this point in my life, I am not. So for me to be mixing on the back of my car and for that to be compared to a kitchen table in the same system was like apple and oranges to me. I was like, it's my car, bro. Like, literally birds poop on your car. Like, why wouldn't I just mix this up on the trunk? It's not acid. Yeah, it's not going to burn my paint. Like, it's just a car to me, right? So that's me. So and then as I finished reading, I was like, oh, then he was like, he complimented me on showing the difference between the tips. And then this is where, of course he has opinion on the background music. And to me, I think the background music sets a tone, right? It gets you in this space. Now, particularly in this video, it is probably possible that I did not have my balances dialed in the way that it needed to be to make sure that, you know, it was more of a background noise more than coming in at the same tone. So, you know, as I told him, I appreciated his feedback. I still put background music while I'm talking because I still feel the same way about it. I think from there on, I was very more mindful on making sure that I get those
Yeah.
levels as close as possible to just having it in the background, just giving you some type of, because I think that dead silence and noise is annoying to me. I don't think my voice is that cool for you to just listen to straight my voice. I need some type of background music. That's me, right? And I love music. I have a love for music. So I want to lay a track behind me talking to kind of
Sure.
put you in the mood that I was in when I recorded it.
Yeah.
It's a whole vibe. So that's why I did that. But, you know, this was probably the second or third comment that I got that was kind of
Yeah.
passive
Yep.
aggressive. You know, it was passive aggressive, you know, but it was still good
Yeah.
feedback. You know, you take it in strides, take it with a
Exactly.
grain of salt, and you just apply it the best you can as a
Yep.
content creator for sure.
All right. Well, here's the next one. Nice video.
Felicia, hey, how you doing,
Oh,
Felicia?
hey, thanks for tuning in. Here's the next one.
Yeah.
Nice video, but please don't chew gum and speak on camera at the same time. That's really like, I mean, come on, man.
Well, you know what? I couldn't argue with him. I couldn't argue with him on this one because, as you can see in my comment, there's points. Listen, if it was up to me, I'd go back to like my first 20 videos and delete them all because I think they were all trash. I think they were all horrible. But I know that that shows growth, and I know that it shows my beginning, so I just leave them there. So I can't watch most of my earliest videos anymore because I find so many things wrong. I'm
Oh,
my worst
yeah.
critic. I'm just going to be honest. It's going to be really hard to hurt my feelings because I promise you, I think worse of myself than you do. That's just how my brain works, and that's how it works for me. So for me, chewing gum while I was on camera, that was a mechanism that I used to keep myself. It was a nerves thing, and speaking for a very long time while I'm on camera because a lot of people don't realize. Yeah, the video might have been 10 minutes long, but I may have recorded
Right.
for 2.5 hours, and I was speaking for 2.5 hours. The same reason why I have my nice, delicious hibiscus tea here tonight. I need to sip something to, you know, make sure that the moisture stays up. So nerves, just like being on camera, is what I said. And then I had this issue with my mouth drying out. And I think that had to do with the nerves as well. But you know, this is a comment that was it was an honest comment. The dude got straight to the point. I wouldn't say that
No.
that was passive aggressive. He was straight to the point, but he was being, you know, kind of picky. And but nevertheless, I still appreciated. And what was funny for me was, and that's why I put the laughing face there. He was watching like a video 7 months ago, right? So like the video was
Yeah.
super
Yeah.
old, and I was like, "Have you watched any of my new content? Because if you did, you would know I
Yeah.
don't do that anymore." But
I didn't even
needless to
realize, like, you made
say,
a good
you
point.
know,
At least he was straight to the point. He didn't beat around the bush. He didn't use any profanity or any, like, derogative language or anything like that to like make you feel even worse than he could have. So, because there are plenty of those where like
right,
they just keep shoving the dagger in farther and farther.
right,
So the next one, the
right.
last one he sent me was first. Here we go. First, where are you located? What state are and what state and grow zone? Second, get them tomatoes out of that planter box. They will either stunt the growth or take over. Get you one of those grow bags you got sitting on the patio and put your tomatoes and peppers in there. 5 gallon containers, one tomato plant. 5 gallon container can take 2 peppers plants per pot. Save the grow box for herbs, lettuce, other greens, and maybe even those onions. Those tomatoes need space. This is one of your know-it-all people that this like, oh, I know what I'm doing here.
Yeah,
This guy does not.
yeah.
That's exactly what this is. I've had plenty of those, and when I've had those, all I can do is be like, hey, thanks for the feedback and for the support. That's really all I can say.
So Yeah, and I took it. You see, I took it a bit further in my reply to him, and I want to reread this comment because I want to put you in the
Yeah,
mind
go
state I
for it. Go
was
for it.
when I read this comment. Right. So this is how I read it. First, where are you located? Because obviously you were dumb. You were too dumb to put
Yeah.
what your zone is. Right. That, like, I added all that in my head. Right. And then what state in grow zone? Because, like, why wouldn't you do that, you dummy? Like, come on, get it together. Second, get them tomatoes out of that planter box. They will either stunt the growth or take over because you're a retarded first year gardener and you don't know what you're doing. You should just get back to the lawn care game, you stupid, silly lawn care enthusiast. This is how I'm feeling when I'm reading this, right? I'm just being demoralized on each line. Get you one of those grow bags you got sitting on that patio and put your tomatoes and peppers in there. 5-gallon containers, one tomato plant, 5-gallon container can take two pepper per pot. Save that grow box for herbs, lettuce, and other greens, maybe even those onions. Those tomatoes need space, right? And then, like, I mean, he didn't even comment on the video, and so this was a person that clearly watched the entire video and just, like, watched it to tear me apart. Like, they literally pulled me apart. This is my first garden video, guys. This is me unveiling what I've been working on for the past 2 and 3 months quietly behind the scenes because no one knew that that's what I was doing, other than a few snapshots I slipped out during the season, on Instagram during the off season. So this guy, he came across extremely aggressive. I try to explain my logic behind what I was doing. I'll tell you this: don't let anyone come into your garden and tell you what you're supposed to be doing. That's your garden. You do whatever you want, however you want, and you learn the way that you want to learn. Now, if you're giving me advice, I'm all for it. But this was probably the most aggressive comment that I'd ever received, and I found it survived. I found it funny that it was actually in a garden video because the garden community seems to be much more forgiving than the lawn care community most of the time with videos. But needless to say, that guy, I mean, he was, first of all, the guy was right. Okay, let's be clear. He was right. I'm going to admit that he was right. And the reason why he was right was because what I thought was a dwarf variety of a tomato ended up not being dwarf. That it was an indeterminate cherry vine tomato that grew way taller than I thought it was going to grow. But here's the kicker on that, though. Even though it did stunt their growth because I could compare it to the one that I did have in the container, they still produced and I still got many harvests off those cherry vine tomatoes. But the reason why I would have taken them out wasn't because of their productivity. I would have taken them out because they got so tall that the overhang on my porch, they grew taller. They were going to grow taller than the space I had. So I literally had to top them to stop them from growing. So in hindsight, I wouldn't have put them in the boxes. I don't think I'll ever put anything in the boxes like that. And at the end of the day, if you're watching today, guy, guess what? I'll be using those boxes for nothing but herbs moving forward because you're right, but you didn't have to be as aggressive as you were. I can appreciate you getting straight to the point, but maybe in the future, just add them as suggestions. Maybe you were just concise and direct. Maybe you're one of my military watchers and we can't help ourselves. We have to be concise and direct when we speak. So maybe that's why you came at me the way that you did. And those are three of the worst comments that I have had on the channel. And like I said, I haven't really gotten beat up too bad. And I think a lot of that has to do with I don't consider myself trying to teach you anything other than sharing what I've learned and what's working for me. And I think when you present and frame information in videos that way, it gives you a lot of play where people won't necessarily judge you for trying to be an expert and just appreciate the content that you're delivering. So with that being said, it worked out. You said haters crack me up, like you said, Rob. Know it alls, right? Yeah. What's this? Long journeys. He said I had one commenter on me about my mosquito strategy. He knew a lot about mosquitoes and told me numerous times why my strategy was flawed. I believed him, but he was on a mission to let me know. I know, right? Like you could have just passively said, hey, bro, you might want to think of X, Y, Z. And I think framing has a lot to do with, we're in the world where 90% of the communication we have with people, we don't have to look them in the eye. Even in our military today, I'll let you know this. There's a whole new generation of soldiers that are coming in to where they're not the best communicators
Yep.
effectively face to face. They're not really good at it because they don't have to do it a lot. So a lot of times, we call them keyboard warriors or Twitter fingers and whatnot. And it's just because of the culture that we have today, which is why and there's two sides to this to where it plays out well for me. On one side of the coin, it frustrates me when I'm trying to communicate with people that don't know how to communicate and don't know how to be cordial in a conversation and know what tact is, right? But then the other side of that is because it's becoming a lost skill, a lost trade, a lost craft of communicating in person, you actually get a edge on everyone around you by getting up from your desk, walking to the office, having a conversation with the person face to face, then following up with an email, and then showing back up in person the next day. That's how I can get something done in 24 hours that takes you an entire week because I took the time to go and speak with this person. I remembered that this person, their daughter was about to graduate from high school because I went and I had a conversation with them. So like, now when they see an email come from me, it's just not another email. Oh, that's Palmer, that's Sergeant P. That's whatever they
Yeah.
refer to me is Turf, is Rob, whoever it is, because I take that time to interact with you as a person. So remember that.
Catch the Average Joe Lawn Care Show live on Friday nights at 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time on the Lawn Guardian YouTube channel. It's always fun interacting with the audience in the live chat during the show, so we hope to see you there. If you couldn't catch the live show, watch it recorded on the Lawn Guardian YouTube channel or listen to the audio version of it by searching Average Joe Lawn Care Show on podcast platforms such as Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Google Podcast.